Hello everyone, welcome to You Codes. My name is Omar Mokhtar, and in today's video we are going to see how to set up Convex with React. So yeah, before we get into the code, we want to see and understand what Convex is. So I'm on the documentation page and I'll be using the documentation throughout the video. So yeah, Convex is the open source reactive database where queries are TypeScript code running right inside the database, just like React components or react to state changes. Convex queries react to database changes. Convex provides a database, a place to write your server functions and client libraries. It makes it easy to build and scale dynamic live updating applications. So what this means is that Convex is just like React. It gives you a database and a place to write all of your functions, but your code or let me say Convex, the database, react to your code changes. So you are going to have a development server running, or rather a Convex server running, and then whatever you are writing in your code will be updated inside of or inside of the database. So without any further ado, let's just get started. So for this tutorial, I will be using React. So just come down here and click React. So we are just going to copy this command if you want to use our Convex CLI, but I think most of us we already have your React project set up, so we are not going to do this. I'm just going to do it manually. So let's just use npm create with at latest. So I'll be using pnpm. So let me just create a folder real quick. So yeah, drop the folder. Just zoom in a little bit and drag it down. So let's just do pnpm. I'm using pnpm, so I'll be using this command. Pnpm create with at latest. If you are using npm, go on ahead and just use npm create. So I'll just let's say project name. I'll just type dot to use the current directory, and then I'll select React or TypeScript. No, yes. So let's just wait for it to install the dependencies. So it's just going to reuse most of it because I've installed React very recently. Okay, so our React application is up and running, as you can see here. So I'll just stop the server and then go back to the documentations. We have it open. So now that we have React already installed, next we have to install, or rather, next we have to install our Convex. So use this command npm install Convex if you are using npm. For me, I will be using pnpm, so I'll do pnpm add Convex. Once we have that, we should run the npx convex dev command. So let's just paste that here. So if you are using npm, go on ahead and use npx. I'm using pnpm, so I'll use pnpm dlx convex dev. So it's connecting to the Convex server. So here it's asking me what would you like to configure if I'm going to create a new project or choose an existing project. So for you, it will likely ask you to log in with your GitHub or Google. Just copy the link it gave you, open it in the browser, log in with your Google or GitHub. Then from there you can just copy the key it provides and paste it in here. It's going to give you a security key, a JWT key. Just paste it in here and hit enter. After that, you will be having this menu. So I already have an empty project, but let's just go ahead and create a new project. I'll just call it, let's just call it to do, yeah, let's just call it to do. So it's going to go on ahead and create a couple of stuff for us. And now you can see convex functions ready. So this command here is going to be how we run our convex server. So it's just like having a backend. It's always going to be running, and once we change anything inside of this directory it created here, which is convex or directory here, it's going to just rerun the server and synchronize all of the code. So to simplify running this, let's just come to our package.json. And then we are going to add dev, let's just do server, and then in here we are just going to do npx or convex dev for you. For me, I'm just going to do npm dlx convex or dev. So now when I stop this server and then run pnpm dev colon server, it's just going to run. So I'm going to split my terminal into two, and here I'm going to run the front end. So I'll just run pnpm dev. So you can see that every time we run this command, is going to connect to the server and then load our functions. So now what are these functions that we are talking about? Currently we don't have anything in here, so let's go on ahead and create one. So yeah, for the sample in the documentations, we are going to use a JSON-L file here to create some data. You can use anything you want, but let's just use this. Out here I'm going to create my data.jsonl. The difference between JSON and JSON-L is that in JSON you always have a parent or array or a parent object where you have all of your data inside, but here you can just have multiple line data like this, and then the server will deal with the rest. That's the difference. It means JSON line. So now that we have this, let's just create a table on our server. So we are creating a database, so definitely we are going to need a table to store our data. Also, convex is an object or relation database, meaning we can store stuff in objects like JSON, but they can also have relationships using foreign keys. So here we are just going to run our command and then add. So here we can just copy this command again. Great. Now we've uploaded the file here, and then it has three the table, and under the table tasks we created three stuff, and then yeah, we didn't delete anything. Okay, it's also warning us that interrupting npx convex import will not cancel it. No problem, we don't care. So we can just exit this terminal. Nice. So now we are going to create our model here. So let's just create it inside the schema.typescript file. So schema.ts. So the way we define, you can see as immediately we created this file here, this schema.ts file, the server actually rerun and loaded everything. Yeah. So it says our schema.typescript is missing a default import, we know, but I believe the file I deleted was supposed to be down here. No. Okay, so let's just go on ahead and continue. So I'm going to import some stuff from convex/server. What are we importing? We're going to import define schema to define our schema, and define table to define our table. So down here I'm just going to do export default define schema, right? So in here we are going to define our tasks, right? We're going to define our tasks. So our task should be a defined table. Text should be of type v. So we import v from convex like value. It's going to be type of string, and then is completed is going to be a type of v dot or boolean. Nice. So we have defined our schema. Let's just wait for it to push. Boom, it's been pushed. Now this schema has been defined on our dashboard, on our Convex dashboard. So you can just go on ahead and open your dashboard. I'm going to do that. Next, we need to define how to actually query our data. So let's see. Nice. Let's just create a tasks.typescript file here. Now we're going to import some stuff. We're going to import query. Nice. So I'm going to export. We are going to export a function to get our tasks. So yeah, should be equals to query, and then this query is going to take a couple of stuff. We are going to pass empty arguments, right? And then we are going to have a handler. It takes an asynchronous function with our context. Oh, okay, I forgot to add a colon here. So what we are going to do is we are going to await that context dot our database query, our table name, which is tasks dots, and then collect. So the collect method is just going to, as you can see here, execute the query and return all of the results as an array. So now we have a function to fetch all of our tasks from the database. This is where you can define the rest. Cool. Now that we have a function to get all of our tasks, next we are going to implement everything into our React, because currently React doesn't even know about Convex. So let's come to our project. Inside the source folder, we are just going to open our main.tsx. So here we are going to provide everything. So it's going to be convex / React. We are going to our provider and our React client. So we are going to create a convex model or object is equals to new create React or client new convex React client, and then we are going to import dot meta dot env dot the name of our this one here, the URL. Just do that as string. Alright, I believe that is, yeah, with convex URL, and that is it. So now we are going to provide everything to our application. So here we are just going to pass our convex provider that is going to take that convex client we just created, and then we wrap our app with it. Okay, just like that. Now React knows about that. Now let's come into our app.dsx or wherever you want to use or your database. Now I'm going to just clear everything here, and then I'm going to remove all of my unused imports. So I'm going to import from convex slash generated slash API. I'm going to import API. Alright, so now that we have that, I'm just going to say const tasks is equals to, now we need to import use query too. So import use query from convex slash react. So now I'm going to use query. This is a hook. What are we going to use? Our API dot tasks dot get, which is what we defined earlier. So that's all we need to make a query to our database. Now let's say if we don't have any task, let's just return a div saying loading. Now once the code reaches this point, we already have our data. We are just going to map over our task, get our task, and we are going to return or just return a fragment, and then inside of this let's just do a div since we have a fragment. I'm going to rename it with F2 and type in div. So in here we are just going to return h1 with our tasks text, and then a paragraph with our tasks or completed status. If it is completed, we say completed, else we say in complete. Let's close that. Okay, so now we have our tasks. Now let's just open our page here. Now we get the loading, and then boom, we have buy groceries, go for a swim, integrate convex, completed, and incomplete. Let me just remove most of this, and then open the other file. Yeah, let's just get rid of this. Let's just have that. So here you can see that we have our completed, incompleted, and now we have all of our tasks here. So now just a quick recap on everything we have done so far. So the very first thing we did was we installed React and created our project, right? Then we installed Convex and ran the command for our Convex to set up. The command is right here, npx convex dev, which is going to take you to the login flow. After your login, you'll be able to create a project, and then it's going to connect automatically. So as you can see here, we have it running here. The next thing we did is inside of this Convex folder, which is created by Convex itself. This is where we do everything. So any change that happens to this file here is going to be reflected on our server. So we have Convex has a WebSocket connection. Yeah, a WebSocket connection here that notifies the server every time we change something inside of this Convex file. So our schema.typescript file is going to be, detected by Convex. So Convex is is expecting us to have a schema.typescript file here, and then in here we define our schema. So in here we can have multiple schemas or defined for different tables. That is it. So next we created our task, which defines all of the functions for uh, for our tasks or table. So we just have a single function right here. We have a query function. It's just so when defining a schema with Convex, we have these predefined functions or define schema and define table. The define schema defines the entire schema of our database, and then for a defined table we just define a particular table. So we use this v to create a validator. So it's a validator builder, just like Zod. Right, so now in here we define our table using the define table function, and then we define our fields. The first field is a text, which is a type of v.string, and then is completed, which is a type of v.boolean. Yeah, I think that is it for this video. Yeah, hopefully you now know how to set up Convex and how to build from here. So the next thing you can do is just implement functions for creating data into your database and for updating and deleting. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you actually enjoyed the video, do subscribe and leave a like. Thank you so much.